Welcome, friends, to episode 268 of Color Magic, your Magic Gaming podcast, where we talk about all types of issues that affect gamers at and away from their gaming tables and computers. I am your host, PowrDragn, and making our way to Christmas with my main man, Brian Sonic. How's it going, brother?
It is going well. I'm amazed at how many people are still shopping traditional retail. It just is. I kept hearing it was all online, but every time I go to our local mall, it is packed. So
Bro, I think it's a lot of where you live because I've been seeing a lot of people saying, oh, malls are dead and this, that, and the other. Like around me in this whole area, there's like maybe a mall that's kind of dead. Everybody else has been
yeah,
shopping. We still have outlet malls and all
right.
that stuff. And I went to just I was buying some cards from somebody and they wanted to meet in the parking lot of the mall. Like, hell, this was like beginning of November, maybe the second week of November. It was already getting busy for the holidays.
I just found out Target is delivering now. So I mean, it's the war for your dollar is on, which that's it. Competition is good. So
Yeah, and deals on all kinds of nerd things right now. Like if you need to build a computer, you want to get new mice, a stream deck, whatever, there's sales everywhere.
right.
So get while the getting's good, for real.
PlayStation just started their. If you're a PlayStation Plus member, you can already access what's it says going to be their holiday sale.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is gonna be an interesting episode too. We have a few things, some magic news, some Fortnite news that's gonna get people talking. We have some PlayStation related stuff, just like all kinds of things. Hey, even some Pokemon illegal activities to talk about. So like this is gonna be a wild
That
episode.
in the teaser, I don't know what is.
Yeah, exactly. Before we get into all that though, don't forget you can go to patreon.com/colormagic. Support your boys just for $2. We appreciate it. And you get a shout out just like Marvel MTG, which is probably a controversial name now. But
Yeah,
thank you for being a patron.
when they first picked it, they had no idea that was ever good. They probably meant the literal dictionary definition of the word Marvel, and now
Exactly. But all right, let's start off here with the news that's been all over social media since Monday. We didn't cover the story before because it would have been speculation, but then we got official announcement that not just bannings but unbannings happen for Magic on Monday, which is a thing that doesn't happen too often. We usually get some number of bannings, and then maybe a card in one format might get unbanned if they want to test some stuff or whatever. But this was stuff across the board. So quickly going down the list, nothing in standard. Standard's fine. Lots of diverse decks, whatever. Pioneer, Gigantha, the Wellspring, just to create some diversity in the format, which makes a little bit of sense. Legacy had two cards get banned, which are Psychic Frog and Vexing Bauble, which is important because those are both fairly new cards from Modern Horizons 3, I believe. And then nothing in Vintage, nothing in Alchemy. Explorer, just to make it line up with Pioneer, also had Gigantha the Wellspring banned. The big news, though, comes in Modern, where we had three cards banned and four cards unbanned, which was a bit of a surprise. So the banned cards, the One Ring, not a surprise. It was showing up, I believe last things I saw is something like 45 or 50% of the decks. It's just a really ridiculous card. Makes sense.
one band to find them, and in the
Yeah,
darkness bind them.
apparently. So Amped Raptor also got banned. And that was more decision of they wanted to do something to the energy decks, but they didn't want to take the card that kept them from being playable. So they're testing it, it sounds like, to see if this solves that problem. If not, I'd expect this and or something else to end up banned from those decks. And then, of course, Gigantha still being a problem in this format, that was banned as well.
Can we just talk about the whole companion mechanic and what was being smoked when they thought those were going to be balanced and okay? Just what?
The thing is, it's a free card.
Yeah.
Like, you just get a bonus card to have access to later. Like, I mean, I know, whatever it was 4 years ago, whatever, we talked a lot about companions, but it's just crazy. Not a surprise that these cards ended up getting banned. But the unbanned cards, this is where all the activity in the news kind of started this week. First one, Faithless Looting being unbanned, not too big of a deal. There's some other cards that are kind of similar to Faithless Looting already. So, other than the fact that it has flashback, which is what makes it different, not too crazy. Green Sun Zenith, little bit of a surprise, right? Didn't expect to see that one unbanned. It's a good search tool. You can also go get Dryad Arbor, which is a land that happens to be a creature, one of the weird cards. So there's some interesting things here you can do with this in multiple different formats.
Yeah, and I mean, immediately tournament results started popping up with Green Sun Zenith just wrecking house. So
Oh yeah, so not a
people are
surprise that
happy.
seeing this pop up definitely makes sense. Now, a lot of things you can do with it you can't do in modern because certain cards do or don't exist, but just the power level of the card is still really strong. But then the next two, Mox Opal. This is one that I don't think was on anyone's radar to be unbanned. I think it was just like, oh, okay, we understand this is really powerful. Yeah, it just makes mana, but it is free and there's a lot of free artifacts. You know, all right, cool, I guess. But the fact that it got unbanned was nuts because when I was looking earlier, I believe the price shot up to over $100 in a matter of a couple of uh let me pull up the exact price so I can tell everybody how much. But as of recording, the average is around 140-ish dollars. Whereas it started the week at $80. So nearly double in price from just the announcement on Monday, which is insane. And there haven't been real reprints in a minute, so there's not a ton of them out there. Now, the other card is one that everybody speculates every time there's a ban restricted list. Will this be the time? Well, this time it was the time. So, Splinter Twin, congratulations, you're out of jail. And Splinter Twin went from being about $7 to now being almost $30. Weird thing here, though, is that when from the time it's been banned until now is a very different time in modern. So we don't know how strong the card's going to be. So these next few months, because I believe the next ban restricted list for these formats is going to be in March, if I'm not mistaken. So there's going to be 3 months of play with these cards to decide how powerful they are. Did they break the formats? Did they make the format better or worse? And I will say, the last point on this, one thing I found interesting was that they mentioned wanting to unban some of these cards to make modern feel more old and traditional magic. So almost like they're acknowledging, hey, we have made a lot of stuff for Modern Horizons 3 that have shaken up the format and they're dominating the format.
Yeah.
What if we break out some of these old cards that we know are strong? Does that make people happy and does that change the way the format looks? Like,
And before you know it, we'll have some of the current stuff in here. Like we mentioned, it feels more like, Magic with hats coming soon. We're going to have Magic with race cards. And so, yeah, I think a lot of people felt like we needed a shot of more traditional Magic cards. And of course, Universe and Beyond, of course, will at some point be in modern. So, yeah, this I think definitely speaks to, hey, here are some more. As I said with Foundations, this is your favorite band playing the greatest hits, and they're back on tour.
yeah. So, I mean, it's an interesting strategy. For the people that play modern, I hope this doesn't break the format too much. Saying like now we have Mox Opal and Splinter Twin and Green Sun Zenith and all the crazy stuff we can do. But the other side of that is if this does work, awesome. Great for the format. Does that start unlocking more banned cards? Right? If it works, does WotC or R&D or whoever sit around and go, you know what? Let's unlock this one and see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's unlock this one and see what happens. So yeah, I don't know. I'm generally a fan of ban more, not less. Generally, but I will say modern was already in the space that a lot of people weren't having fun with anyway. So I think if there's a spot to unban some stuff, modern was definitely the right
The way
choice
you
here.
described as unlocking, I'm picturing all the Splitter Twin and all the cards standing in their little cells like the Elimination Chamber, waiting, waiting for the time to tick down. Saying, come on, let me out.
Oh, it's exactly like that. It's exactly like that. So yeah, I don't know. This was interesting news. Where it goes, we'll see. I haven't
And
been playing a
definitely,
lot.
the thing
Mhm.
about the One Ring is I'm hoping they learn some things because I don't know this for a fact. I'm assuming that in one of the three Marvel sets, surely we get the Infinity Stones and or the Gauntlet. So they've probably learned, hopefully, some things to do and not do to make them just powerful but not completely format breaking. Also, as we talked about in the pre-show, you're absolutely going to need to get possibly 7 cards for the combo to work. So in theory, that makes it a lot weaker, but you know, you never know.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing to me. Like, it's the One Ring literally was an all-in-one card, right? You couldn't be damaged for a turn. It gave you crazy card quality or card economy because you just get to keep drawing from it. And you could replace it by just playing another one and resetting the counter. So you're not even taking that much damage. Right. So if you did have that scenario with an Infinity Gauntlet and Stones, you're having to piece together so much that, like, if they were a game winning thing and you did it, well, all right. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
you put the
I,
work in.
exactly. It's like when I play a commander game and somebody gets their like 5 or 6 piece Rube Goldberg combo.
Yeah,
I'm
you
just
just
like,
got to be happy at that point.
yeah, I'm like, you
The
did the
thing,
work. We didn't stop you. You
right?
know?
I'm assuming there'll also be some kind of Thanos card where does a much easier, like maybe he does something where he can search for a stone each turn or
Yeah, something
something.
like that.
So it'll be in theory easier for him to put it together than it would be, you know, Nicol Bolas.
Though I have to admit, I would be pretty down for an Infinity Saga set.
Oh yeah, who wouldn't? I would assume one of them is going to have that theme. I would think because that's that has really been seem like the Marvel MO for every property or everything they've done over the past couple of years. Like some people were talking about Marvel Rivals and how they're hoping that it doesn't go too far into the MCU, but it looks like people seem to be enjoying the Infinities or the skins that look like
Oh
the
yeah.
MCU, and also some of the moves like Doctor Strange, for example. His thing looks just like the movie where he does the thing where he punches everybody's soul out of their body. It's definitely very much comic book influence. Star Lord kind of feels like very Peter Quill, the way he's been depicted in the movies, which to some extent is a comic. And of course, whoever's doing Iron Man is essentially doing a Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, of
impression, how the
course.
way every Iron Man voice actor has done pretty much since those movies came out.
Yeah, I think with Infinity Saga, that's probably also the only place you'll get some of the weirder characters, right? Like your Adam Warlocks and Ronin and whatever, because they don't really fit a lot of other stories. So it's probably the only place we get those. But they might also make that like the third or fourth Marvel set because they might just want to play the greatest hits for the first couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. But all right, that leads us to the soapbox. And man, I told people we had some Fortnite news. So I want to start by saying all the Magic players like, why do we need Final Fantasy in our game? Why do we need Marvel in our game? Why do we need Doctor Who or 40K or whatever? You may not feel so bad here in a second. But apparently they put out some social media posts a little bit cryptic that have the Fortnite community for several reasons feeling like they're about to do a crossover with Skibidi Toilet. And this is apparently where a bunch of people finally started wanting to draw the line. Like, and that says a little bit because Fortnite has damn near everything in there. Like
Exactly.
characters from across all types of stuff, different universes, comic books, hell, real stuff with like WB superstars, like you
Yeah.
name it.
Apparently Mariah Carey is coming. There's a big block of ice where she's gonna thaw out, I think, on December 20th.
I'm surprised they didn't do that for the holiday promotion.
Oh, I
That's
think
what we
that is a
all
holiday promotion.
yeah, that's what we all know her for at this point. So it's like you're willing to do everything, but even the players there said, "Nope, this is our line." Now it's going to happen anyway.
Yeah, because there's going to
But
be a Skibidi Toilet movie. So at that point, Fortnite's pushing ahead.
yeah,
Anything is going to be a movie. Fortnite wants it. That's what Fortnite is.
that's the other news too. Going down that rabbit hole. That not only is there going to be a Skibidi Toilet movie, apparently they've been talking to Michael Bay to be the director for the movie. So that's a whole wild rabbit hole all on its own. I don't I don't even know what to make of that. I've done a
I
little bit of
do.
Skibidi
Camera
Toilet
pans
research.
upward slowly. Skibidi explosions in the background. One Skibidi Toilet looks at the other Skibidi Toilet and says, "We ride together." We die together. Skibidi toilets for life. Cue
I
some rap
guess.
music in the background.
I'm just saying. I've done some research to understand what Skibidi Toilet is, which I don't think I understand Skibidi Toilet. I just
Right.
understand what it is. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. Like, I don't get it. I'm
For
not the
for the
target
uninitiated,
demo.
apparently it's a community of sentient toilets that are going to war with humankind, so
Oh,
to
dude,
speak.
and the guy who runs it has literally like millions of subscribers and
Yeah,
millions of views a day. Like, it's a thing. I'm not saying anybody needs to go down that rabbit hole because whatever, but you're gonna surprise yourself. That's all I'm gonna say. It's
and again, that's what Fortnite does. If it's popular with anybody, it's going to be in Fortnite. That has been the MO. If you didn't, if Peter Griffin wasn't too far for you, then Skibidi Toilet probably, in theory, should not be too far.
yeah, probably not. Like it's one of those things, right? We keep coming back to this is the nature of the world for entertainment now. Everybody does crossovers and there's money in it, right? If even if you don't think it's a huge crossover for companies, if you can make 10 extra money, let's say in Fortnite that it costs to do the animations and the voices or whatever for that, it's still worth it for them to do it, right? If they outlay, let's say $1 million getting all that work done, but it makes them 10 million extra dollars over the next year, then cool. And if nobody ever plays a Skibidi Toilet after, I don't know, let's say June next year, they already made their money,
Right.
right? So who cares? You know,
And somebody will. That's somebody's email, Skibidi Toilet
oh, you know it
at,
is.
at Gmail. And somebody like this is their Lord of the Rings. They got the fan site, they got the posters, they do the whole thing. They do the cosplay,
But the reality is, a bunch of those people will get into the game
right?
because they're Skibidi Toilet fans. Again,
They're
I
gonna
don't know
give them.
why, but you
I think
are.
each one of those skins is at least $9.99.
Yep. And then they're probably going to buy other stuff, right? They're going to want
Exactly.
different upgrades or whatever. Like they're going to get all the different variations that are in the shop or whatever. So once they're there, they're now ingrained into the community. And at some point, they'll
Fortnite
probably be
is
like,
the Oasis from Ready Player One.
yeah.
That's really what it is. Everything's in there.
And they'll sit there and say, oh man, I didn't know I could be Goku. That's cool. Let me go and
Right.
buy this Goku skin or whatever. Oh man, I like WWE. I can be
Yeah.
Bianca Belair. Like, hold up a second. I'm gonna go get me a Bianca skin or whatever, right? That's what it's all about. Same thing in Magic. I literally have talked to people when I was in Vegas saying like, "Oh yeah, I started playing because of X, one of these different Universes Beyond things." But they're buying the latest stuff, right? They're getting more sleeves and deck boxes and picking up more commander decks. So like they're contributing to the Magic ecosystem because they came in because of that thing. It's not they're only going to buy that product. It's just like you do it to get them in the door. It's an advertising expense basically.
Yep.
But you're not just getting that one-time purchase, you're getting hundreds of dollars from that person down the road. So like I get it, but even Fortnite ain't gonna shake it, right? No matter how obscure and crazy it seems like, crossovers are still gonna happen and they can be there. So we just got to get over ourselves. Like this is entertainment at this point. Doesn't matter our favorite movie series, TV shows, video games, they're all doing it. Hell, I saw on TV. The what is it? The 911 fire rescue, blah blah, whatever. They all crossover now. Like I saw a commercial
Oh
for
yeah.
that.
It's like
There's
Chicago and Chicago Night on NBC or whatever.
yeah, and I'm like, it's literally everything. Like there's money in doing it.
And It's Sunny in Philadelphia are doing a
Oh,
crossover
really?
because they're both set in Philadelphia. So there's going to be two episodes. One episode where the character from the pub will be at Abbott Elementary for some reason, and then they'll do a nighttime episode where the people from Abbott Elementary go to the pub, I guess presumably to get drunk or whatever.
I didn't know that. That's actually pretty cool. So yeah, I don't know. Like I get it. If you want your stuff to stay, you want the pure experience of the thing you're into. I get it, but that's just not the way of business anymore, unfortunately. Whether we like it or not, this is
And I
where
mean,
we
I
are.
think I am one of the people that does feel like we've lost something here, but I know
Mhm.
that we're probably, unless two or three of these Universes Beyond sets come out and sell nothing, I don't think we go back the other way.
And that's the other thing. They've been selling bonkers.
Yeah.
Like even for Magic, you say Lord of the Rings was their highest selling set ever. They had to do, I
You
think, 5 printings of the 40K commander decks or whatever, right? Like these aren't just selling, they are selling really well. So there's no reason they're going to stop doing it. Because again,
Plus, the reason would be like if 2 or 3 of them in a row miss, then they'll have to
yeah,
reevaluate. Because
but
as we
hell,
said, once you get past Marvel, what's bigger than Marvel? Probably only DC, and Warner Brothers is busy burning its company down to the ground. So I don't even know if they're going to play ball, even though when there's money. Right now, Warner Brothers, when there's money to be made, they just get up and walk away from the table. It's bizarre.
oh, I think having the multi-year Marvel license is to buy them time to work out something large for like a Star Wars, Star Trek, something in that space. It's just going to be an
Star Trek,
expensive.
and I say this as a lifetime fan. I don't even think Star Trek is as big as Marvel.
No, no, no. I don't think it'd be as big as Marvel. I think it'd be a good, strong license. I don't think it's going to be as big as Marvel, but I think it's also a tough one to get licensing wise for a card game. So they're probably putting in work on 2 or 3 right now that we won't even hear
It's
an
probably a
announcement
good
for
secret
2 years.
lair because it's probably not big enough at this point to carry its own set. But a
You could
secret
do a
lair, I
command. I
think, would
think you
be
could do a
fine.
commander deck set out of it. Do 4 decks. I think you could pull
Yeah,
that
yeah.
off. But yeah, I don't think it'd be a 350 card set. Nothing like that. But yeah,
Doctor Who, it's about it. Slightly more
yeah.
popular than Doctor Who, I would say.
Oh, for sure. And that's what I'm saying. Like we got commander decks for that. I think we do the same thing for that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't really know, but I'm with you. I empathize with all the people who want things to be a specific way and stay true to your thing, but people just figured it out. There's just too much money in it. But all right, your turn.
Yeah, as we mentioned, the Game Awards took place last week, and you could set your watch by every time any game came up on screen that had anything other than a straight presenting white male as the main character. Chat just started to DI. It's woke. Why is this game woke now? Even The Witcher 4 was announced, and it features Ciri, who has been a character in the game for years now. It was pretty obvious they were grooming her to be the new Witcher, and lo and behold, Witcher 4 trailer reveals yes, it's Ciri. We don't know for a fact if Geralt's going to be in the game, but yeah, Ciri is the Witcher now. And again, it's like Robin becoming Batman. They have been teasing this. If you did know this was coming, you didn't play the last game or the last couple of DLCs. It's been blatantly obvious they were going this way. And I'm, as a fan of the games, I'm perfectly happy with it. I want to see, character progression. As we talk about with the, universe stuff, everybody else does this. Even Mario isn't always the star. Luigi has his own successful game franchise now. Sometimes Mario teams up with Bowser. Zelda finally got her own game where she's the star after years. This is just what people do to keep. Because again, how many times can you have Peach getting kidnapped by Bowser? It's just even for longtime fans, it gets old. Say something different.
No, I'm with you on this. This is one of those things that always bug me, right? Because I even remember seeing people upset that we were going to have Shuri when they first found out she might be the new Black Panther or whatever. And I was just like, even here, we even have a real life reason that she gets to be
Yeah,
Black Panther. Like the other dude died, like
yeah,
literally
we don't have a
died.
way around it.
Like, and people were still mad about it. I'm like, what's wrong with y'all? Like, if now again, Black Panther's more an extreme situation because a person died, right? But just like you're saying with The Witcher, where there's a continual story that they already set up the characters and the background and the relations and whatever. Like that shouldn't be weird. Like I just don't
People
know why that bothers people.
because they
Now,
don't want it to be a woman is really the only logical reason. They don't want, and I'm talking about every time there was, but it's crazy though. Laura Croft's okay because the Laura Croft's hot. They like the way Laura Croft looks. If it's some buxom, bouncy, dead or alive type character, nobody complains. But Siri, they complain. If it's the other game that got people upset was, I believe it's called Intergalactic, premiered from Naughty Dog has earned the right to do whatever game they would like to do, because pretty much every game they have done has been incredible. If they want to do the Skibidi Toilet game, I'm fine with it, because whatever Naughty Dog does turns into gold. People still like, oh my god, why is this woke? It's so DEI. You have all you've seen is the trailer. You don't know anything that happens in the game other than it's got a female character. That's all you know, and that's enough for them to just lose their minds.
Yeah, like I could understand if, let's say, you had not introduced the character previously and you got attached to this main character, whatever, then all of a sudden the third or fourth iteration are just like, and here's this other character we're gonna follow. And you're kind of going like, well, where did that person even come from? You know, like what about all this other stuff that we've learned about and the history attached to this other character? Like, this doesn't mean anything now? Like, whatever. That I would get. You would have a legit argument because they just shoved a character in there. But when you're talking about characters they have built up over time and are part of the story,
Right?
all right, we're just focusing on a different character for a minute. Like, I don't, it doesn't seem weird. And I'm with you. Like, there's nothing wrong with there being a different character as the main lead for a game. And sure, the character may not fit your ideal view of what attractiveness is or whatever.
There was a
But
great
there's
debate on social media. They're talking about, like, literally, why does how attractive the main character is. Really, does Crash Bandicoot need to be attractive? And of course, they started a whole debate about whether or not people find Crash Bandicoot attractive. And that was
well, there's a community for everything, dog.
right.
Like,
There's a fun rabbit hole to go down for a moment, or Bandicoot hole. I don't know. Do
I don't
Bandicoots
even
dig
know.
burrows? I have no idea.
But yeah, I know I remember seeing a thing where a guy had posted, like, I'm trying to remember the exact quote, but it was basically, I want the character to look nice while I'm playing, effectively, which was a little like, bruh, really?
What does
Like, you
that
know what I
got to
mean?
do?
Like, it's
Yeah.
still a digital set of pixels. Like, how are you, I mean, I
Are you
guess,
playing this game one handed? What's going on here?
yeah, I mean, like, it's your gaming experience. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell you to play a game if you don't like that. If that's what you're looking for in a game and that doesn't check your box, cool.
By the way, as I said, Dead or Alive still exists.
Yeah.
There are plenty of games that, if that's what you're concerned about, have at it. There are plenty of games for you with the real, well, actually, completely unrealistic boob physics. Those games are out there.
Yeah, so I'm with you. It's a weird thing to throw out there because I also wonder how many of those people end up missing out on stellar gameplay because they just say, "Oh, well, this has a lead I don't like," or this
Yeah, by the
has,
way, the
yeah,
Witcher games have been incredibly good. As I said,
sure,
everything Naughty Dog has made has been incredibly good. So until they disappoint us, I'm going to assume these games are going to be bangers, as you would, because they deliver a great experience every time. Witcher 3 won just about every Game of the Year award. The Last of Us, come on. Those games are made a
I'm with
whole
you.
TV show franchise. Why'd you question them? Questioning them is like questioning Mario or God of War at this point. Why? You know it's going to be a hit. You have no reason to assume anything else.
Yeah, that's kind of where my mindset is.
It's just
Like,
like you just say you hate women. Okay,
it,
that's really what
it
this boils down to.
at least give them the benefit of the doubt to
Yeah,
play it first, or wait for reviews or whatever before being upset because they've already, like, to me, those are companies that have won your trust,
right.
right? So at least give them the chance to think about, like, if you've liked everything else they've done and all their other decisions have been good, there's probably a reason they thought this was worth doing. Just give them a chance. That's all I'm saying. But all right, let's get into what did we learn this week, because there's some interesting but also questionable stuff this week
Yeah.
that makes no sense at all. But hey, why don't you tell us what you found?
I have seen some real dumb PR stunts in my, at this point, better than 20 years covering sports and various sports entertainment, but this one is this is a record breaker. This is going to
Okay.
go down in the annals of dumb PR history. The Charlotte Hornets, who are an alleged NBA basketball franchise, had some kind of weird, you know how they do all this crazy things at halftime, people spinning plays, unicycles, whatever. They did this comedy sketch where their mascot, Hugo the Hornet, was passing out gifts to kids. And one lucky kid, 13-year-old boy, won a PlayStation 5. It great video. Everybody's happy. People get the kid, as you can imagine, the kid is ecstatic. The cheerleaders are dancing. Great feel good video. Cameras turn off, and the kid's uncle's actually one that broke the story for everybody because he said everybody's called him and texted him, "Hey, that's great. Jack won a PS5." Like, oh, not really. What do you mean, not really? After the cameras turned off, they took us immediately backstage and asked for the PlayStation 5 back. Of course, we all thought they were kidding. You wouldn't give a 13-year-old kid a PlayStation 5 on camera and then ask for it back. And nobody was, certainly not a professional basketball team that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. They wouldn't do that. But they did. So as they realized he wasn't joking, had to give I guess the company representative or whatever the PS5 back. And as a trade off, they gave him a jersey. I don't even know if the jersey was signed. I didn't see that anywhere.
That
It
is
that in about 10 hours that got almost 4 million views, and none of them were happy. It's just you can't afford, you're a multi-million dollar franchise, you can't afford a $500 PS5 for a kid. Just what are you even doing? It's everybody, when they realize this guy wasn't joking, people are looking around like, what is happening? Why would you do this? What are you even thinking? And of course, the Hornets having to come out, apologize, say Jack will get his PlayStation 5 for Christmas, and he will get a VIP fan experience at a later date. Because this poor kid, I'd have burned that jersey if you'd have done that to me when I was. I'd burn that jersey if you did that to me now, and I'm 50. It's
man,
just
I have so many issues with this.
everybody
Like
does.
the first is you're talking about a franchise worth somewhere north of $3 billion with operating money in the like $40 million range or whatever anyway every year. So
Roll by itself over 140 million.
yeah, so but I'm like that game, like the time they were dealing with the kid, their concessions probably made a few $1,000s.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like who cares if like just give him the $500 game
Front
system.
row seats for even a bad NBA team, I'm sure it cost you a couple of $1,000s.
Probably.
And the Hornets are pretty, other than that brief period, with Alonzo Mourning and Larry Johnson, they've pretty much been a bad team almost the entire time.
But here's the other thing too, right? If you had just started out giving him like a signed jersey or whatever,
Yeah, his uncle said he would have been perfectly happy.
yeah,
He'd have been stoked to get a signed jersey from his favorite players.
any fan, you get your signed jersey from the starting lineup of your favorite team, whatever the
You
sport
get
is,
to
like,
be down on the court. You've had a great halftime.
yeah. So like, why even tease him with the PS5 with no intention of giving it to him? That's the weird part.
It makes zero sense.
It genuinely did not have to be part of the experience at all.
Oh,
Like you never had to mention the PS5. You could have just been like, "Hey, we have this frame signed jersey from the starting lineup, whatever. Here you go." That's it. That's all you had to do, right? So yeah, that's what makes it weird. And then now you have to save face, and it costs you 10 times as much because now you got to give them the jersey and the system and probably 3 or 4 game tickets, and you're gonna have to
yeah.
pay a PR person to take the family around the facility, and the whole 9 yards now.
Everybody that even occasionally covers video games wrote about this, and is ripping the team an entire new one as they've earned.
And the
Whoever
crazy part is
charged this, I don't know.
this isn't the first time this has even happened in the NBA, much less sports. But it happened back when Jordan was playing. There was a guy who had to make one of those like halftime, 3/4 court shots or whatever to win. I think it was, I don't remember if it was $1 million or like $500,000. But either way, a big pile of money. And the team and the owner and the insurance was like, well, because of a technicality that the thing he signed said you couldn't have played organized sports or something outside of high school, and he played like a rec league or something. They were like, "Sorry, we can't pay you out for this or whatever." So the only reason that changed is because if I remember the story right, the players went to the owner and were like, "Yo, you need to make right by this guy." And they didn't want
Right.
to do it. So, but then the players were like, "Fine, we're not going to let one of our fans just get screwed over." So once
Exactly.
the ownership found out the players were going to pitch in money and do it, they were like, "No, no, no, we can't have that story out there." Especially since you got
Exactly.
Jordan on your team,
Right.
you know that was going to be a PR story. They were like,
Yeah.
"Nah, we couldn't have that." So
We
they
could be
went
on
and made good.
everything that even kind of sort of covers sports.
Oh yeah. So yeah, this is just a weird thing. Like and again, you could in both cases, you could have made the prize value smaller or easier to handle, whatever, and it still would have been a good prize.
Yeah.
Like I'd still go shoot a 3/4 court shot and try to make one for hell $20,000.
Exactly.
Still would have been plenty. You could have paid it out, would have been no problems. It didn't have to be the big dumb amount. Like you just put the big dumb flashy amount because you think the odds of somebody getting it are less than 1%. And then when they get the 1%, oh well, time to pay up.
And I've worked with people who do that. Now it's paid by insurance. I don't know if it was the same way back then, but yeah, what they had was because the group that was doing that didn't have $100,000 laying around. You buy an insurance contract because again, the odds of them hitting it are so low that you can do that thing every year. It's your favorite tournament, and it could be 20 years before you have to pay anybody. At
Oh
which
yeah.
point you've made all your money.
So yeah, that's a sad one because there's just no issue at all for that to have happened. That's
Right.
the weird part.
That's just part of why the Charlotte Hornets are the Charlotte Hornets. That's
Yeah,
how they
exactly.
do
That's
business
the
in
reality to it, right?
every as in case you wonder why they're bad, this is part of why they're bad.
Yeah, I would have
The
fired my
easiest
PR
thing
guy,
in
by
the
the way.
world, easiest thing in the world to get right. And as they said in their own press release, we turned the ball over. No joke.
Yeah.
You threw the ball into the stands and knocked somebody out.
I just don't understand. Like literally, I probably would have fired my PR person. I'm not even joking. The person who put that
Whoever
whole
came up with
presentation
that.
together,
Yeah.
you're probably fired. Like, because there's zero reason, zero
Right.
to get to that level. All right. So some other fun news here. Civilization 7 launches, I think the deadline was February 11th. So not far away, got a month and a half or so. But the cool thing about it is that they're going to have this mechanic where instead of just picking the civilization you want to, because normally you pick like the traditional civilization leaders for different
Yeah.
countries or whatever. Well, now you're going to be able to pick also individual character leaders throughout history. So some are like Charlemagne. I don't. Maybe Napoleon was one. I was trying to figure out like the list I saw, but
Napoleon is usually in there
yeah.
somewhere for France.
Machiavelli was one. Benjamin Franklin, obviously. Yeah. Right? But what's cool is they each come with different traits. So some of them will be better leaders, some will be better for science, some will be better for technology, transportation, whatever. You'll probably get like a Henry Ford that'll help you with like transportation, whatever. But one of the ones they're putting in there is Harriet Tubman,
Damn
which
right.
is pretty sweet because that's not a character. Like when you go down the list, you're like, oh, okay, well, who are we putting in there? But she
Yeah,
comes
you
with,
can tell they are doing a whole because usually it used to be like whoever was in charge. It had to be somebody like Napoleon,
yeah,
Abraham Lincoln, that has literally been in charge of the country before. But they are doing a lot of things different now, and I like it so far.
yeah, one of them is also, I think, like the second pharaoh of Egypt, Hatshepsut or Hetsup, I guess, as I would put that. So, like, that's a pretty interesting one. But yeah, the Harriet Tubman, the cool thing is, comes with traits for diplomacy and military.
Okay,
Because helping to hide people and all
right.
that. So I'm like, all right, that makes sense. And they all come with their own little agendas and different things or
I was
whatever.
gonna say, so are they approaching slavery? Because I don't know how you would discuss Harriet Tubman and not have that be part of it.
I mean, maybe. It may also be a thing that if that's part of the progression of that civilization, it's no longer part of it, potentially. I don't know. We'll see how
Because
it
I feel
plays
like
out.
you can't really discuss Harriet Tubman without discussing slavery unless you're in charge of Texas history books.
Yeah, that's also true. So like, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting how they implement all these characters. Honestly, I just thought it was really cool that they chose that level of character, like somebody who's just a historical character that was important to a movement, but wasn't necessarily like at the top levels of being a country leader.
Of
You know,
course,
I
now that
think
I say that, had Egypt in almost every game, and Egypt had slaves, and
very
it's never
true.
discussed. So maybe they can do that. I don't. They clearly have.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, yeah, they've never really had that in any of them. So
Not
yeah,
that
I
I'm
don't know.
aware
The
of.
the cool part is I was looking at this as thinking, you keep making civilization games every so many years or whatever. And you're kind of like, all right, well, how is this one going to be different? Because Civ 5 and Civ 6 were both pretty well received and
Yeah,
pretty good games. So it's like, what are we doing? And it's like, okay, well, this is a nice little element to
definitely
sprinkle in
is.
there, make the games play a little different. And based on your personal play style, there may be two or three leaders that make the game better for you or easier for you. Or playing against certain other people, you might be like, oh, well, I know this person likes to declare a lot of wars. So I need this type of leader to help me in military situations or whatever. So,
These are the
yeah, this is
biggest
gonna be a
changes I've
fun
seen
change.
recently. It's like the previous years have been like the changes have been, things that you had to be kind of inside baseball. Like, okay, we changed the way armies work, or we changed the way cities are built. Now they fundamentally change, like the leaders, as you mentioned, several people you mentioned weren't necessarily ever the president or the king or whatever, but they still are obviously very important and very influential. Like Benjamin Franklin, for example, was never the president, but still America doesn't become America without him. Also, one of the things that's new is the leaders aren't locked to any particular civ. Used to be if you pick France, that's only you get Napoleon. Right? If you only you can pick Lincoln, but you had to be America. Now you can put apparently any leader with any civilization. So the number of combinations of things you can do that increases exponentially. I'm very excited for this one, and I love them all, but this one has me just extremely hyped.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be the first time I have actually considered streaming Civ or any new game really almost at release. So I will probably be rounding up some people and playing this a couple of times with folks. Just a full afternoon, put in the full like 8 hour game, whatever,
Right,
and just have some fun with it. Cause I
from the
think,
Stone Age to the Space Age.
yeah, this just looks cool, man. So congrats on them. But let's get into a couple of quick topics here. And since you touched on it earlier, we might as well talk about that a little bit. But we have the list of official winners of the Game Awards. And this was a mix, man, because there was a couple that you went, yeah, that makes sense. They should sweep the
Yeah,
categories, get their things. And then there's others, it was just like, why though? Yeah.
yeah,
Like, it's weird because, like Astrobot won quite a few. I think they got three, four different awards,
yeah.
right? Which, little surprising, but people like the game. So not too wild.
I think
Balatro,
the main surprise is that platformers really haven't done very well at the. Of course,
yeah,
part of that is because platformers aren't the biggest genre anymore. It used to be that was all that was one of the big like, every year when you get a Mario, a Sonic, etc. Like it's not always that way anymore. So that's Astro kind of
yeah,
brought platforming back. Feels like
exactly. And they won four awards total, I think. Balatro won three, I think they got. And then kind of going down the
you got to
list,
give
there's,
Bellato his prop. That game's made literally by one dude.
oh, sure. I
That's
mean,
incredible.
and it's so simplistic that you would be like, what? But apparently super popular. So good on them for
People love
that.
poker. A lot of people love roguelikes. And as I talked about last week, the creativity of nerds, I would have never thought to put those two things together. Never in a million years would I have come up with anything like that.
Yeah. And then there's games like Metaphor Refantasio that won a couple things. I don't know anybody who's playing it, but apparently,
I mean,
you
I
know,
think in RPGs, it's like the big one this year.
yeah,
Dragon
I've literally
Age
seen
kind
zero
of
footage of it.
Dragon Age kind of came and crashed. That was one people were thinking was going to do well, and BioWare is just kind of in shambles right now, unfortunately.
Hellblade 2 won a couple of things. Not a huge surprise. Helldivers won some. We knew
Right.
Baldur's Gate 3 for community support was probably going to win that category.
Sports
There's
games one of the ones that I'm obviously a sports dude, but I'm feel part of I feel I'm qualified to speak on this. it just came out today. College Football 25 is not only the best-selling game in the U.S. this year, it is the best-selling game in United States sports history. Better than NBA Jam, better than Tecmo Bowl, better than any Madden, including Madden '04 when Michael Vick broke the game. That is
Bro, the
phenomenal.
problem there is it didn't even get nominated.
Right?
Like, I almost can give you a free pass if like it just doesn't win. But the game that I saw tons of hype about, hell, even before the game came out, I saw a bunch of creators doing like hype reel videos for just like news coming out about it because they were so
Right.
excited. And then nothing, like not even a nod of just like, oh, you were a good game, right?
And
Like,
sometimes, you'll see like this happens with movies too. Okay, if such and such movie doesn't win, well, it was because this other movie. I've been, researching, talking to people. They didn't hit, they didn't get even the second or the third best sports game because okay, if you tell me at the beginning of the year or after, let's say mid-year after all these games are out, if you somehow tell me college football 25 didn't win, I'm like, okay, I get that. College football is primarily a big thing in the U.S.
sure.
If everybody, I don't know where all the voters are. Clearly, most of them don't look like they're United States based. I think okay, if college football it doesn't get nominated, okay, that's weird. That's real weird. But then that means you're gonna tell me WWE 2K got it because that game was incredible. No, okay, well, all right. It was at least nominated, so it was in the ballpark.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
had a chance. It was, it's an honor to be nominated. Okay, then it must have been NBA 2K25, right? That game was again phenomenal. No, okay, so I give up. Who the hell won? EA Sports FC 25, and even among, as I said, I literally just took over a sports gaming site this year. Of all the FC games or FIFA, if you remember it as FIFA, it
Mm-hmm.
changed recently. Of all the soccer games EA's put out, it was one of them. That's pretty much what the way all the reviews said. It was FC 24, and they changed the number. Nothing. It is the definition of, hey, it's a roster update. If you like last year's game, there's no hurry to get this one.
Dude, a couple of the content creators I've consulted for do FC video game content or whatever. They're not even that overly excited about it.
Yeah, they do it because they have to do it.
Yeah,
Like I
so
said,
I'm
when I do
like,
Madden content, because it's what we do on our channel. We got to.
that's why I was confused because I'm like, okay, so if that audience, like, they like the game, it's good, but it's not particularly better than anything.
Most of the people I've talked to like don't even consider like it just even of among the games that were nominated, it had the lowest Metacritic
Oh yeah,
rating. Its
yeah. Of the
Metacritic
ones
is at about
nominated, for sure. For
it's
sure.
like around somewhere between like 72, 73, which is essentially average. And honestly, most people, it may not be fair, but if you go like by a point grading scale, 75 is a C, right? In
Mm-hmm.
most grading scales. So how does a C, the best sports game that came out when NBA? At first, I thought, okay, when I looked at the nominees, maybe they're saying they hate Ultimate Team, but yeah, NBA 2K is greedy. I grant you that. But then you can't give it to FC 25.
Yeah.
FC 25 is literally the birth of Ultimate Team. It's where the greed in sports gaming came from. It is the godfather of the biggest problem in sports gaming right now. So it wasn't a protest vote. They just effed up really bad. That's all I got for you.
Yeah. Now, other categories: best esports game, League of Legends. Not a surprise.
Yeah.
One of the biggest ones still being played today. Funny thing is, they have most anticipated game that went to Grand Theft Auto 6,
Because of course it
which,
did.
like, people have been waiting on Grand Theft Auto 6 for like 8 years now. So it's just like, I don't
Which
even know
only
when
makes
it's
it more
coming.
anticipated.
Yeah. I'm assuming it's just going to dominate that category until it finally releases.
We didn't even get a teaser. We're thinking there was going to be a teaser at the game. We didn't even get a teaser. They just
Nope. So yeah, it was an interesting mix. Like I said, seeing what got nominated, what won. Some of the games you expected won 2 or 3 awards or whatever. Others, like we said, didn't even get nominated. So always weird award shows, man. I never know what they're basing stuff on or what their pool of voting candidates are or whatever. Like it's a weird thing.
And since we complained a lot, do want to, as we said, give people credit when they deserve it. they did mention, obviously, even though we hear about, like in the example of college football 25, record sales, record profits, yet somehow every day I log on and I'm having to write about another video game company or another video game website where everybody got laid off.
Yeah.
So the Game Awards, put their money where their mouth is. They're going to have what they call a Game Changer Award that rewards people that are doing something about the fact that the industry is in a lot of ways on fire.
I can appreciate that. Adding a category for your innovators.
Right.
Makes sense. All right, our last topic here we want to talk about is Pokemon is apparently believed to be the new money laundering thing for a bunch of people. And this isn't a surprise.
I choose you, Pikachu, to launder that dope money.
I mean, here's the thing though. For years, people in the industry have kind of just accepted that when it comes to collectibles, there will be some amount of that activity, right? Because it's just hard to track, right? If somebody gets a pile of money, they go out and buy some expensive, because sports cards was the thing for a long time,
Yeah.
especially when you started getting these like $10,000 one of ones or $50,000, jersey insert cards or whatever. You go buy a couple of those, you can travel with those in your
Right.
pocket, in your bag, take them across state lines, country, whatever, and then you just take them to wherever and have somebody else buy it from you, or you have another shop or an eBay store or whatever, and you're just
Yeah.
selling it, and nobody's going to
As we
question.
as we say, we're never trying to get you. We're not trying to give you information on how to commit crimes. But as a former police reporter, one of the ways to get around, IRS agents is to deal in things that they don't understand.
Yeah, it's just the
Like how
intrinsic value.
what's this piece of cardboard worth? The average person in the tax office doesn't know. They're going to have to go consult somebody, and that may cost money. And you quickly get to a point where the research you had to do costs more than the tax liability. And in government, in theory, that's when you stop pouring money down the hole. Doesn't always happen that way, but
But this
in
comes all the way
theory,
back to, the assumption that a big chunk of the art industry is
right?
from people shifting money around, right? Because I might not be able to pay you for a thing, but if you happen to put this piece of art for sale, I can go up and buy it for $5 million.
Right.
And then now I just magically transferred some money to you legally, you know? And it all looks good on paper. Nobody's going to say anything. And there's no way to prove that it's not. So, whatever. The only
And
thing
it's
that
not
makes.
just actual
Mhm.
money. It's, as I mentioned, all these various, sports games. There's just Dexterto did a great piece talking about how hackers have almost, well, not even almost, they've essentially taken control of the market in FC25 because again, they once you own enough stuff, you set the prices.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
situation where EA has created a market that they are not competent enough to manage properly.
But it's also that stuff with like NFTs and things for a while,
Right?
right? Like
These are the
it's hard to
first
track.
NFTs in a lot of cases.
People just set the price of where they're going to set it at, so somebody buys it. Like, and there's no way to tell how legit those purchases are or not.
Yeah.
If somebody's making an actual investment or they're just flipping it to move money or whatever. The only thing that makes this Pokemon story different is that this started coming up from a Japanese news publication that has people on the ground that deal with organized crime. So they're saying, like, yeah, we're pretty sure some of our people or people in the circles we know are doing this.
Yeah.
Because usually,
I was going to
again,
mention one of the things I've
mhm,
seen is that, the gangsters, even the Yakuza, I'm talking about people that have been doing organized crime for years are down bad because a lot of their traditional sources of income have dried. Gambling, for example. The computers, the prop betting industry has taken over sports gaming. There's no play. You don't have to go to Jimmy No Thumbs anymore on the corner and place a bet. You can place a bet without ever leaving your home. So there's no way for the mafia to get
which
their
has been,
fingers into
it's
that.
also been legalized in way more places in
Exactly,
general.
because
Yeah.
once it's legal, again, the mafia isn't able to get their paws on it.
Yeah. So this is an interesting time because again, everybody kind of assumed it was a thing, but this is kind of one of the first times that I know of where we have somebody basically with boots on the ground, people in the
Yeah.
system saying, "Yeah, this is happening." And I think that changes it to where, like, okay, I mean, now the reality is, even if we now know it, you still can't do much about it.
So as crazy
Mhm.
as it sounds, apparently a lot of once mighty mafia organizations are now having to deal with bootleg Pokemon cards because
Mhm.
that's where they can make a quick buck.
Well, I would just say collectibles in general. It's just
Yeah,
whatever's the easiest to get your hands on, which is a lot of times is collectible trading cards, right? Because they're in a lot of markets. You can always find a store or somebody who has a store, as I'm making my
right.
air quotes,
Yeah,
to be able to go buy the things, and then the money can just be moved as a business expense or
but
whatever.
it's just
So,
weird to imagine like somebody in the corner with the trench coat. "Psst, hey, buddy, you need that Squirtle? I'll hook
oh
you up."
shoot. And hell, it probably wouldn't even be like you just make a phone call and be like, "Hey, I gotta get rid of, I don't know, $50,000. What you got?" And it's like, "Oh, I can get you this Charizard, this EX Pokemon or Pikachu, whatever." And it's like 52K. Like, all right, cool, that works. They walk in, you sign over some money, do whatever you're gonna do with it after that, you know?
Although it's almost full circle because Nintendo actually got its start doing like gambling machines and
Hmm.
love hotels and things. So,
Hey, they were just a technology company for a while. They
right?
weren't a video game company at first.
Oh, and the money was in the like poker machines and other kind of illicit things, or in some cases maybe in certain districts maybe not illicit, but
Yeah, exactly. It's just business. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. Like I said, I saw the story and thought about it and said, well, we kind of assumed this was a thing anyway. So I think day to day is still just going to be business as usual. It's just interesting to note that somebody effectively on the inside is confirming what we all assumed. So interesting
I can't
nonetheless.
wait for the next Yakuza game when they have a whole Pokemon trading mode as one of the mini games,
Hey, maybe that's what all these card game store simulators are. It's like training
right?
people up, getting them ready. I don't know. All right. Well, we're not going to do a dinner table this week because it's probably going to be our last episode before the holidays, and our dinner table just going to be with family next week. But if we get time, we may knock something out, but don't plan on it. And then the following week, I think we're going to do our year in wrap up for 2024. So there'll be a lot to talk about because man, this was a hell of a year. So that'll be a fun episode to do because there's a ton to. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research. There's almost too much stuff that happened this
I
year,
was gonna say
honestly.
that's still gonna be an hour because man, it's a lot.
Yeah, well, we'll have to tighten up our categories because there's going to be a lot to talk. We may just go month by month, maybe
Oh,
to speed
geez.
it up.
Even that would be hard to do in an hour, I would imagine.
Oh, all right, Brian. What's your where they can find you on the social media machines?
I am Brian Sonic on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and you can read my writings over at App Trigger.
And you can find me everywhere at PowrDragn, PowrDragn. And I gotta say, if you want to do some foundation stuff with Magic, follow me over on the YouTube because there's tons of stuff still coming out, and there's gonna be even more as we cross the holidays into the new year. But as always, wherever you are watching or listening, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Please remember to take care of yourselves and your family. Remember to be awesome, and most importantly, be awesome to each other.